Hi, fantasy readers. This is Karyne Norton, your fellow book binger, and you are listening to the Finding Fantasy Reads podcast, where you can test out a new fantasy story every single week to find your next favorite author. Today's story is short and sweet, or maybe not so sweet. I'll let you decide. But it was too perfect to pass up for the week of Halloween. So if you like graveyards, ghosts, and creepy talking birds, you'll want to stick around to hear how this one turns out. It's written by Haylie Hanson, a YA author, fiction instructor, and editor at the Author Conservatory. She's also a disability educator who loves everything geeky, and when she isn't dreaming of adventures in a galaxy far, far away, she can be found drinking too much coffee and writing stories about kids with superpowers, a love of STEM, and snarky humor. Stick around to the end or check out today's show notes to see where you can find more from Haylie. For now, please enjoy The All Hallows Club by Haylie Hanson. My shoulders press against the tombstone at my back until the chilly granite becomes indistinguishable from the icy foreboding knotted inside my chest. Swirling mist whispers threats as dark as the moonless night. An obsidian raven perched atop an obelisk of the long since deceased stares down its beak as tendrils of fog curl over the heavy stone. "Turn back now," the harbinger bird breathes one final offer of safety. "Get out while you still can." I clamp my palm over my mouth, stifling a cry of horror. There's no logical way the raven whispered words into my head and heart. It's stone, inanimate. My fear manifested them. That's the only explanation. Isn't it? Screaming wind tears the sky, rattling dead tree limbs like bones. I duck further behind the tombstone, squeezing my eyes tight before forcing them open. Panic sticks in my throat. I force myself not to imagine the dark fate waiting amongst these graves if I fail my initiation. "Get out! Get out! Get out!" Why did I agree to this ridiculous challenge? I don't know anyone in the All Hallows Club. But if everybody else in this town is intent on ignoring my presence, pretending like I don't exist, completing the club's initiation challenge on Halloween night is my last chance to make new friends and no longer be alone. Or it could be my last night in existence. It's just a dare, I remind myself. One silly dare. Come to the graveyard on Halloween night, make it all the way across and solve the mystery of the golden lights before the last stroke of midnight. Then report to the club leaders waiting at the farthest gate. Oh, and if I fail even one of the tasks, I'm banished from the club. Forever. I glance at the clock on the nearby church steeple, rising into the sky like the blade of a dagger. 15 minutes to midnight. What if I don't make it across the graveyard to the gate? What if the lights never appear? What if I... First midnight Halloween challenge? I leap high, grazing the raven's beak before sinking back to the ground. A boy my age slips behind the tombstone beside me, someone I've seen lurking around alleys and dark corners, with a mischievous grin I want to trust, but don't know if I should. "Don't do that," I hiss. "Sorry, new girl. I didn't mean to scare you." His bright smile pierces the black veil of night. Then again, scaring's the whole point of Halloween, isn't it? I guess so. A pause floats between us. My name isn't New Girl, it's Ruby. "Ruby, sorry." I don't think he's sorry, but the nonchalance in his voice has a strangely calming effect on my nerves. "I'm Eddie. You're the latest initiate into the All Hallows Club, aren't you?" If they decide to let me in. My admission into this exclusive society is by no means certain, despite how much I desperately want it. It's a great Halloween. Midnight with a new moon is always extremely creepy. Eddie turns his pale face toward the watchful raven, brushing a dark swath of hair away from even darker eyes. There's an old poem about a raven and ghosts. Once upon a midnight dreary. Do you know it? Poetry seems like an odd topic of conversation, given the circumstances. I'm a little busy for recitation. I'm crossing the graveyard so I can watch for the golden lights. Are you? Eddie arches an eyebrow. You haven't made it very far. As if I needed another reminder I'm too terrified to move. A gale howls through the tombstones, and I grasp my arms tight, shuddering at the unearthly sound. Above me, the raven's blood-red eyes lock onto my petrified gaze. I told you so. Words slither through my mind, as if flesh and bone are little more than crepe. The raven's words defying reality to reach me. Get out while you still can. It's my imagination, nothing more. Just my mind playing tricks. Vivid, awful, terrifying tricks. I duck lower, becoming one with the earth. But Eddie lounges against the obelisk like he's the king of the graveyard, this pillar of granite, his own personal throne. How is he not afraid on a night like this? He must be a seasoned Halloween competitor. But he seems nice enough, and the only club member who's bothered to show his face all night. How long have you been initiated? I ask. Oh, a while. Well, that's frustratingly vague. Enough about me, new girl. Ruby. Yes, Ruby. He swishes fog away from his face until it settles in his misbehaving hair. What's your story? Fresh initiates always have a story. It's just like you said. I'm new here. I shrug my shoulders. Is it wrong that I want to make friends? Nothing's wrong with friends, Eddie says. But we're the All Hallows Club. What does that mean? I frown. Are you a gang? Not exactly. A coven? Eddie grins. Last I checked, there was only one witch in our ranks. He tips his chin. For somebody so eager to join up, you don't know very much about us. I know you're the most secretive group of oddballs in existence. I hold his gaze so he can see how little I appreciate the enigma. I had to go on a wild goose chase, hunting clues hidden in alcoves and between cracks in walls, just to figure out the initiation challenge was taking place in the graveyard. Meet me at midnight, where the death doth dwell. In All Hallows moonlight the clock shall knell. Isn't that a little cliché for Halloween? The cliché mystery is part of our charm. He winks obnoxiously. Our secretive charm. Charm, sure. Now you're catching on. Eddie's smile vanishes like a puff of smoke, revealing sudden seriousness. Secrets and oddballs aside, you still want to join, even though you're scared out of your mind? I'm not scared. Eddie sees through my lie in an instant. Of course you are. You're scared of the graveyard, the darkness, but you're even more scared of something else. He leans in until we're face to face, his eyes as inky as the heavens. You're terrified you'll never have another chance to figure out why you feel so alone. That you're lost forever. Because your story isn't worth telling. It's an aimless shadow, just like you. I bite back the urge to give voice to the fear and loneliness Eddie's assumptions unearth. Instead, I square my shoulders and ask, how do you know anything about me? Because all new initiates have a story, and we were all new initiates. Eddie's smile returns. Remember now, cross the graveyard, learn the secret of the lights, meet the club members at the far gate. Easy. His gaze lands on the church clock, It's almost time. I look up, finding the clock face. 10 minutes to midnight. Dread drops into my gut, heavy as the mossy stones under my fingertips. Any final strategies or tips before I... When I glance over my shoulder, Eddie is gone, swallowed entirely by the graveyard and the woods beyond. Come on, Ruby. Don't be afraid. This graveyard won't cross itself. Yes, pep talks are good, especially since my only sympathetic companion abandoned me. Thanks, Eddie, you lousy good-for-nothing. Never too late to turn back, the raven muses. Not the raven, because stone doesn't talk. Shut up, bird who can't speak in the first place. I have half a mind to throw one of these rocks at its face. If my imagination is going to communicate through you, I could do without the negativity. Negativity? Really? The raven's tone shifts in my mind, rendering it incredulous. I prefer malevolent, personally. I told you to shut up. Slowly, I slink away from my tombstone hideout, crawling on hands and knees across wet grass and slimy tree roots. The gate where I am supposed to meet the club lies across miles of endless gravestones. All right, not miles, but it looks that way from my perspective. Flying would be a nice bit of magic right about now. I glance over my shoulder at the raven before fog obscures its glossy wings. I'll bet you wish you could fly, and talk, and do any of the things I've imagined you doing tonight. So imagine it, then. I'd love to fly. Why has the bird developed a sense of humor when I'm about to face horrors unknown? 5 minutes ago, it was intent on terrorizing me. Since you're a figment of my imagination, I don't have to do anything you say, I tell the raven. Goodbye. I slip across the graveyard, darting behind one tombstone to the lee of another. The further I venture into the cemetery, the older the markers become. Lettering that once was clear transforms into little more than scratches. I glance at the tombstone at my back, searching for a name, a date, but I'm frightened out of my wits by what I see. Are those claw marks? No. I dash under another decrepit piece of stone in the shape of a cross, claw marks not included. Leaning back, I gather myself until crack! Yeah! I roll away just in time. The top of the cross crashes where I rested my head mere moments ago. That was a close one. Quickly, I seek out a new tombstone in the midst of broken rubble. Ah, here we are. This one is sturdy, shaped like a rectangle, but I examine the edges and center just in case. No claw marks or hidden cracks. What a relief. The moonless sky thickens with clouds, and the wind shrieks through skeletal birches and elms in the forest beyond these graves. There's no safety out here. All any lurking monsters or ghouls have to do is sneak up to my hiding spot and snatch me. The only sanctuary is the locked, empty church that's as far from me as sunrise is from the next sunset. Why did I agree to do this? I pose the question to myself. The whole thing is a fool's errand. Yes, it is. A voice. A hollow, spectral voice. I go numb with terror, turning my head slowly, until... You? I leap to my feet, staring slack-jawed as my bone-chilling fear turns into disbelief, then shock. That belligerent raven. It's materialized on top of the broken cross that just tried to smash my head. How did you get down here? How are you actually talking? You said flying would be a nice bit of magic, the raven replies through its disturbingly stationary beak. I thought I'd try it. Obsidian ravens can't magically fly or talk, physically or telepathically. You're nothing but an apparition conjured by an agitated mind to menace me into giving up.
Menace? That's not very nice.
Please stop talking.
Perhaps you're only imagining me talking. But everything I'm saying is what you ought to be telling yourself.
Glowing red eyes stare at me critically, like this bird statue believes I'm as silly and desperate as I feel.
All of this is nonsense, isn't it? You should go back to where you came from.
Yes, I should. I've lost all sense, conversing with a stone bird. I need to get out of here.
That's a good idea.
The raven agrees.
The way you came in is just over there.
The bird turns stiffly on creaky joints, pointing its beak. The archway bearing the cemetery's name appears through a glimmer of silver fog. All Hallows Cemetery. I never noticed it before. How very original.
The club is cliché, as you pointed out.
The raven reminds me.
Not the kind of friends you want.
Except I don't have any friends at all. Pain aches through every inch, reaching my fingertips and toes, until I give in to the misery of how alone I've been, how lost. A drifting soul with nowhere to turn, just existing, day in and day out, hoping I can find a sense of belonging and purpose. It's what led me to the All Hallows Club and this graveyard on Halloween night. To prove I have a story that's more than forlorn, aimless wandering. A story that's worth telling. But is the club the answer to all those things in the first place? Or is the truth buried somewhere else?
These All Hallows delinquents make you do dangerous things to prove you're worthy of friendship.
Can the raven read my thoughts too? Everything else it does defies logic. Why not mind reading?
Friends should accept you just as you are.
I agree, I say.
You do. That's a first.
The raven's wings gleam a reflection of the starless sky.
Tell me, why are you still hanging around?
Is the answer another riddle I've got to solve? I scoff. I think I'll take Eddie and his poetry over you.
Nevermore,
the bird squawks.
Is that better?
No, it's not. I close my eyes, searching for the meaning behind a decision I have to make before it's too late. To stay and complete the challenge and be initiated into the club no matter the cost. Or leave right now, always wondering why I wasn't worthy. And yet, who decides my worth and purpose in coming here tonight? Eddie? This raven? The oddball Halloween club? Who decides how the night ends and whether or not I'm truly alone? Does the All Hallows Club tell my story? Or me? This isn't just about the club, I tell the raven. If I cross the graveyard and solve the mystery of the golden lights, I might have friends. I might not be lonely anymore. Might isn't a good enough reason for everything I've gone through, but I have another reason to see it through. A better one. The raven tilts its obsidian head.
Go on.
The initiation isn't about proving something to the club. It's about proving something to myself. My voice grows stronger, steadier. I'm as assured of my own words as I've been of anything. Even if I fail the challenges, even if I'm alone, I still faced what made me most afraid. Maybe that's the story I'm supposed to tell. The raven hops up and down.
What will you do now, Ruby?
If I can do one thing that terrifies me, I can do a million things. Yes, this, at last, is my challenge. The choice to stay or go is mine, but first, I'm learning the truth about those golden lights. After all, who wouldn't be curious to know why the lights are so important to the club?
Nevermore indeed.
Nevermore, really? Can you stop saying, but the raven's gone, vanished into thin air, just like Eddie. Of course, the bird shows up with advice, then disappears. Is it named Eddie, too? I rise, standing tall, and look across the graveyard. The far gate remains scarcely visible through the fog. Yes, it's far, across a harrowing stretch of tombstones surrounded by funeral mist, a sight that sends shivers of horror down my spine. But I can do this. I have to face my fears. Forget the club. This is for me, for Ruby, to prove I can write my own story, even something as terrifying as finishing my Halloween graveyard tale. Swift as an eagle, I soar through row after row of tombstones, eyes on the far gate. No sign of the golden lights, just the church steeple and clock cutting a hole through the night. Where are the lights? I almost crash into a tall pillar with a weeping angel atop its zenith, but avert my eyes and keep going. I'm going to make it. The far gate looms before me. I did it. I faced my fear. A smile parts my lips, and I almost wish Eddie and the raven were here so I could gloat my triumph. Until, "Hey, Kelsey, over here!" Voices. Ones I don't know. They don't belong to Eddie and the raven, at any rate. But who are they? I stop dead in my tracks, but can't see anything, not even outlines of forms or shapes in the blanket of fog. This is so stupid. A girl's voice trembles nearby. Why did I let you convince me to do this? Do you scare the pants off every new kid at school? Or am I special? A group of people laughed at her. You chickening out, Kels? Carter, Alex, Emma, where are you? The scared girl, Kelsey, calls into the night. Not only is she terrified, she's panicking. Seriously, did you guys ditch me? I scan the graveyard, but I don't see anything that looks like golden lights. Are they real? Or did I get lured out here the way this girl Kelsey did, only to be abandoned by her so-called friends in the graveyard on Halloween? It's all right. I attempt to cry out and reassure her, but the words come out strange. Instead of my normal voice, it's creaky and cracks like the birch branches in the forest. Just my bad luck. Spending all this time in the cold and fog is going to make me sick. Sick. I was sick not too long ago, wasn't I? What was that? Kelsey screams. Kels, did you hear one? A second voice pierces the gloomy fog. Hear one of what? I don't know. Don't know. She chokes, stuttering and talking too fast all at once. What's going on? Another voice joins in. Kelsey heard one. I heard it too. One last voice joins the group. I look around, frowning. What could she have heard? The graveyard has gone eerily silent. Can we just go home? Kelsey sounds on the verge of tears. I should have taken my little brother trick-or-treating instead of coming to this freaky old boneyard to look for ghosts. Ghosts? I've seen a lot of things tonight, but not a ghost. Eddie and the talking raven certainly aren't ghosts. Aren't they? Seriously, who makes their friends do a weird scavenger hunt for clues before leading them to a graveyard on Halloween? Kelsey's trying her best to talk herself out of sticking around. Sounds familiar. Meet me at midnight where the dead doth dwell? So dumb. A strange sensation comes over me. Something like the disembodied spirits she's hunting. Meet me at midnight. I thought those notes and clues were for me, left by the All Hallows Club. Were they left by Kelsey's friends? For her? Or were they somehow meant for both of us? Please, I'm begging you guys. Let's go, Kelsey sobs. Poor girl. I know how she feels. Haven't I spent most of the night horrified by this place, too? At last, I spy her through the fog, huddled over with her arms around her middle. She needs a friend the way I've needed a friend. A real one. Not somebody trying to scare her for a laugh or trick her into proving herself. If her awful peers aren't going to comfort her, I will. I might not make it to the far gate by the last stroke of 12, but I'm not worried about the club's initiation. Helping her is more important. I come to Kelsey's side, grinning when I reach for her shoulder. Don't be afraid. I'll be your friend. But my hand passes through her, as though my fingers are nothing more than air. Something just touched me! Kelsey pulls a cylindrical red object from her back pocket. Click. Golden light floods my vision. First, Kelsey's, then 3 more, one for each of her friends. Their eyes land on me and widen, horrified. Every one of their faces turns the color of ash, and their mouths gape like caverns, steaming with shallow breaths on the verge of ceasing. What's going on? I look between them, confused by their fear, and hold my hands up to my eyes. They shimmer in the golden light. Translucent. The golden lights. A ghost! All 4 voices scream, brimming with the worst kind of horror. A ghost. I am a ghost. The golden lights are flashlights. They belong to ghost hunters who come to this graveyard on Halloween. I was sick recently, and I didn't get better. I only got worse. The All Hallows Club isn't a club at all. It's a society of ghosts! Run! Before they attack! Run! Kelsey's so-called friends flee, their golden lights fading with them. But she stands, rooted and firm. A strange look crosses her face as she stares at me. It morphs from horror into defiance, then bravery. It's everything I felt tonight, too. We face each other in our truth, no longer afraid of what we might find waiting in the dark. You're not as scary as I thought you'd be, she says. I shake my head and smile. None of this is as scary as we thought. Understanding flows between us until Kelsey smiles too. Those scaredy cats think they're so cool, but I'm the one face to face with a ghost. Maybe I was meant to find you, so I wouldn't be afraid anymore. Maybe I was meant to find you too. I reach for her. Kelsey reaches back until the tip of my finger grazes hers. Kels! A teenage voice cries. Where are you? I gotta go. Kelsey spares me one last glance. Thanks, Ghost. I've got an unbelievable story to tell everyone. I watch her go, alone but unafraid, until the golden lights are gone. Maybe I helped her finish her Halloween story the way she helped me finish mine. Dong! The church bell strikes the first toll of midnight, and it dawns on me I completed all the club's challenges in time. Well done, Ruby. Eddie materializes near the cemetery gate, the riddling raven perched on his shoulder. It's no longer carved obsidian, but a mystic, ethereal bird as haunted as the rest of the graveyard. It flaps its wings, a sound like dead leaves rustling across the tombstones. See, Ruby, the raven says.
I could fly all along.
Yes, I see everything now. I know the truth about the lights, Eddie, and why I had to come here. I had to face my fears so I could tell my own story. Eddie smiles, his dark eyes shining.
Like I said, all new initiates have a story, and we were all new initiates.
From the damp earth, more ghosts rise to join Eddie and I near the gate. Dozens of club members welcome me into their ranks. Spirits who once made the choice to stay in the graveyard on Halloween night. Ones who, like me, needed to write their tales this side of midnight. Dong, dong. The bell tolls, counting down the seconds until Halloween ends. I meet Eddie's gaze with a measured look. What happens now?
Now you've got another choice.
Eddie extends his hand.
You can stay with us and help new initiates every Halloween. Or you can go your own separate way. Where that leads, none of us can tell.
Stay or go? I did their challenge. I faced what made me afraid. The choice to stay or go is mine. I chose to open up to Eddie and his raven, even though I was scared of rejection and being alone. I chose to cross the graveyard, even though I didn't know what I'd find on the other side. And I chose to help Kelsey stand up in front of her peers and face her fear, too. How many people and ghosts are lost and fearful, in need of a friend as they traverse their darkest nights? How many stories do I have in me to tell? After all, if I can do one thing that terrifies me, I can do a million things. I reach out, take Eddie's hand, and nod. The ghosts around me cheer, and Eddie grins, grasping my fingers as his raven hops up and down with excitement.
Welcome, Ruby, to the All Hallows Club.
I hope you enjoyed listening to the All Hallows Club by Haylie Hanson, narrated by Karyne Norton. If you want to read more by Haylie, go to hayliemhanson.com to find more of her books. While there, be sure to snag Sign Seeker, the free prequel novella to her science fantasy series. If you enjoyed this story, please share it with someone you know who might also enjoy it. I've got links in the show notes to make that super easy for you, whether it's on social media, email, or just copying the link. As my 6-year-old says, sharing is caring. If you are a trick-or-treater or one who takes your kids out, be safe this week. Thank you all for listening, and happy reading.